In my last video, I talked about the petition. Prevent any restrictions on those who refuse a COVID-19 vaccine. The government responded to this petition on the 11th of September 2020, and their response was there are currently no plans to place restrictions on those who refuse to have a potential COVID-19 vaccine. The Petitions Committee debated this on the 14th of December. So on the 14th of December I woke up in the morning, had the radio on the background, and this made my ears prick up.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Jeremy Vine Show, BBC Radio 2. So today, then you run a care home. Let's say your staff refuse to take the vaccine. Can you force them? Rollout of the COVID vaccine should start to reach care homes from today. Right from the start, the government said care home residents and staff are at the top of the priority list. But could the vaccination programme be seriously derailed if social care staff refuse the jab? And this is a very interesting moral question for you. The National Care Association is concerned about the number of members who may choose not to be vaccinated. So what do you do if your care home staff refuse to take the coronavirus vaccine? So far, the government hasn't made vaccination law, so you can't force them. But perhaps it should be mandatory, at least in healthcare settings.
There seems to be a lot of pressure on people to have this vaccine, even if you've already decided not to. We're just trying to find out that if we refuse this vaccine, will there be any restrictions on us? And when you got your health secretary running around saying this, how can you not have questions?
Well, then we haven't. We're not proposing at this stage to make it mandatory.
At this stage, so you're not you are not ruling out a mandatory vaccination programme.
Honestly, I've learned not to rule things out during this pandemic.
Now, if you look at the wording of the response that the government gave and actually pick it apart a little bit, it doesn't sound as if they're 100% confident that this won't happen. That's my opinion. So let's move on to the debate. Now, they all got up and said their little bit about how terrible these restrictions would be if they were placed on us lot, us lot who refuse to have the jab. Don't worry, it's all linked below so you can have a look for yourself if you're interested. But the first thing they come to mention was the government's current stance. And some of them forget to mention the word current. Now, I don't know if you follow politics, but over the past few years, there's definite U-turns done by our governments, by our politicians. So how can you trust them now?
Very clear confirmation that neither the Scottish Government or the United Kingdom Government will mandate vaccination at all.
Now, the government, in its reply to this petition, has stated categorically, and again I quote, that there are currently no plans to place restrictions on those who refuse to have a COVID-19 vaccine.
And whilst government have indeed said it will not be mandated at present, I can also see how responses like, and I quote in italics, the government will carefully consider all options to improve vaccination rates should that be necessary.
And I think it's very clear from what our right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, has said that there's absolutely no question of the government compelling people to take a vaccine for this disease, and quite right too.
It's simply not the case, as we can all agree, that either the UK or the Scottish Government has any plans to mandate the COVID vaccine to make it compulsory. Indeed, the Scottish Government and I believe the UK Government has explicitly said that it will not utilise coercive measures to ensure compliance and increase vaccination rates.
But before I address some of those complexities, I wish to set out the facts as they stand today. Sir David, first, there are currently no plans to place restrictions on those who refuse to have a COVID vaccine at all.
I think the sentiment of the petition slightly misses where we are at the moment. I think there's a pretty broad political consensus against any sort of compulsion or coercion or ways of inconveniencing people into submission. I don't think that's the case.
And as you can see from that last clip, he thinks us lot are thick because we're misreading it. No, we are reading what the government's response says. As I said, we're not very good with believing the government that they won't make a U-turn. Now, considering we're talking about people refusing to take the vaccine, they then move on to this.
Now, of course, when we have to put things into our bodies, we want to know that they are safe. And vaccines have one of the highest, if not the highest, tests for safety in the world.
Vaccines are entwined, they are embedded into many, many aspects of our lives at various stages. And all of them are perfectly safe.
In addressing many of those who have signed the petition we are debating this evening, I want to underline one key fact, and we've heard it over and over again from honourable members: vaccines work. It's really important that we send that message from this place. After clean water, they are the single greatest public health tool in the history of mankind.
I want to make 3 points, the first of which is, of course, vaccines are a good thing. And my honourable friend for Carshalton and Wallington made a passionate case, a really great case for a vaccine.
And I hope that those 300,000 or those who choose to listen to this debate will understand and address this vaccine as part of all vaccines rather than anything distinct or different.
But it is different. I said about that in my last video. RNA vaccines have never been used in humans before. Then a few of them go on to say how they'll take the vaccine. Which, good for you. If you choose to take the vaccine, that's not a problem to me. The problem is, I choose not to, and throughout the world, there seems to be a major push for us to have it, even though we don't want to. If you want to have a vaccine, fine, go ahead. I still don't want one. Bribery will not work with me.
And the sad truth is, Sir David, that as a 28-year-old with no underlying health conditions which make me more susceptible to a respiratory illness like coronavirus, I should not be taking the vaccine away from someone who needs it. But, Sir David, if that's what it takes to get people to take it, then gladly, sign me up and I will have the vaccine and have as many cameras there as you want when I have it, when that happens.
To handing out the vaccine, I probably will fit into one of those priority categories. But I just want to say this, Sir David, that come to me after everybody else has had it in a priority, because I don't want to be ahead of anybody else. I want it, and I know I need it, and I'll take it, and I'll have no doubts about it whatsoever. I will take the vaccine, make it very clear. I'll take it in turn whenever my time comes, and I've been more than pleased I'm not a good person with needles, by the way, Sir David, and it's a fact of life as well, but I do take my vaccines. I take the flu jab.
I'm 49 years of age, and I don't think be offered the vaccine anytime soon, but will certainly have a safe and effective vaccine when it's my turn, and I would encourage others to do so.
See, that's the problem. The people on my side of things think, well, if you want to have the vaccine, have it. That's not a problem. The problem is that you lot are obsessed with everybody having it. And you've done plenty of that in the debate as well. Yeah, have a look at what they said.
Vaccines have protected us from birth to old age. They have saved countless lives. They are nothing short of a medical and scientific wonder. So I hope and believe that as this vaccine is rolled out, we will all be reminded of this. And the overwhelming majority of us will avail ourselves of this vaccine, which could save our lives.
But ultimately, I want people to listen to today's debate and take away the message. And I beg people, please, 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 have the vaccine when your time comes and you are asked to come forward. The right thing to do, the healthy thing to do, the patriotic thing to do, the human thing to do, is to get yourself vaccinated to protect you and those around you.
So I would urge everyone to take the vaccine for COVID-19 and to be safe?
Of course it's a very serious disease. Of course we should all take the vaccine. I absolutely stand with my honourable friends who went before me in supporting vaccination. I won't give the least succor to the anti-vaxxers.
Your turn comes and your GP gets in touch. We all have a duty to heed that call. It is how we will be able to protect ourselves, Sir David, and the people around us.
And it is important, therefore, that we do get a significant proportion of people to take up that vaccination.
Then there was another main discussion in the debate. Can you guess what it is? Listen to this.
But I will just say to my honourable friend, people have all sorts of strange beliefs in this world.
Shadow Minister mentioned the anti-vaxxers are an issue that not only do we need to deal with nationally, but also internationally.
But what I would say to people is that they should ask questions. Speak to your GP, speak to a pharmacist, etc. about this or any vaccine and find out the information that you want to know. Go to those with the knowledge, but please do not listen to dangerous internet conspiracy theories.
And that's the information that needs to be relayed again and again to allay the fears of those who are concerned about the safety and/or efficacy of this vaccine. But this may not always be easy, with disinformation and conspiracy theories thriving on the internet.
I also express my concern over some of those who, on the internet and social media, promote an opinion.
Yeah, because heaven forbid we'll have opinions. Bloody hell, if this doesn't tell you that we're acting more like North Korea or China, I don't know what does. It's all about keeping us controlled. We're only allowed to think of their narrative. In conclusion to this debate, who here can disagree with me that they've done nothing more than make a sales pitch for the vaccine, tried to convince us that don't want it to have it? Now, I've had vaccines in the past, but because I won't have this one, I am deemed an anti-vaxxer. So tell me, how are you going to deal with me? Just a heads up to everybody that took part in that debate and everybody else anywhere else that thinks that us lot who refuse should have it. You have an unhealthy obsession. And what happens when you force someone to have one of these jabs and they have an adverse reaction? Like this one.
My name is Tiffany Dover and I am the manager in CCU. But I think that this vaccination offers us hope. And, you know, the fact that we can be proactive versus reactive, it's going to change the way this virus is taking over our lives. So I'm just thankful that we have a chance to receive it here.
When you woke up this morning, did you know you were going to be receiving the vaccine?
I did, yes. Okay. So, you know, all of my staff, we are excited to get the vaccine, you know, and I know that it's really, I'm sorry, I'm feeling really dizzy. Oh, I'm sorry.
Now, by the end of this debate, I don't feel that anything was answered. The question still remains, what happens if we refuse? If anybody out there disagrees with me, please let me know in the comments. Am I wrong in my opinion? As always, thank you for watching.